How goes the family? Welcome back to another episode of Patterson on Properties. Hopefully you guys are having a great evening on Saturday, April 25th. Today's subject matter is basically going to be, in a sense, like a part two to what I was talking about last week in regards to certain acts that are being passed within Congress and signed by the president. Like I said, nothing derogatory. Whether you agree or you disagree, hey, that's the beauty of America. You get to voice your freedom of speech. I'm just going to talk about everything from a real estate perspective, obviously, and when it comes down to the landlords and us real estate investors and things of that nature. Now, with all this craziness going on out here, you know, the number one question is what comes to mind, and the number one question that actually comes to mind is that how is this going to continuously affect the real estate investors within the U.S. And what I'm really talking about is the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act of 2020, which could have an impact, if fully passed, on everybody for the most part, just like all bills do. And it's like I said, there's always upsides and there's downsides. Last week I talked more about the upside because I'm like, hey, if you're getting additional money from the government on a monthly basis, and if you're still working, then hey, you can make some money moves if you have the right mindset. It's all about mindset. There's a lot of rich idiots out there that don't know what to do with a dollar. They don't know what they're doing with money. All they just know how to do is spend it and not invest it or save it. So I'll leave it at that. Now, with that question comes to mind, because, how's it going to affect? Because in early April of this month, Congress approved a $2 trillion stimulus package that provided homeowners, tenants, businesses in certain industries much needed funds to help supplement the loss of income many have faced since the pandemic outbreak actually occurred. Now, we all know that the second part of the stimulus is underway, and for those who haven't received the check, they said that you're supposed to get your check within the next week or two. Now, as far as those who went to the IRS portal so that they can make sure that the IRS has their banking information for direct deposits. Like I said, it's 2020. It's all about the direct deposits, man. We're forced, because of the pandemic, we're forced to be in the digital age, so it's just, you have to level up. And the funny thing is, this is the new norm now. It was already for a lot of people, especially millennials and all that good stuff, but it's definitely the new norm for everybody now. I mean, heck, even my mother's generation has been utilizing more virtual technologies like Zoom and Skype and etc., just so they can communicate with people and yet practice social distancing all at the same time. So I'll leave it at that. Now, back to the story at hand. We all know that with the second round, of underway proposed policies that could have a significant impact on homeowners, tenants, landlords, and real estate investors. Like I said last week, I talked about the good side. Now let's talk about the possible negative impact that it may have on everybody. Now, I talked about this, and it's like I said, I went into the positive territory. This is more negative. Like I said many times, there are upsides and there are downsides to anything in this life, okay? Relationships, where you live at, who you work for, what kind of business you have. Upsides and downsides to everything, negatives and positives all around. It just depends on how you look at it. So the proposed bill would eliminate rental and mortgage payments on any primary residence for the duration of the national emergency, allowing landlords and lenders to recoup losses by applying to relief funds via HUB, I believe. But there are stipulations, like anything else when you're dealing with a government organization or when you're dealing with a bank. When you get a mortgage, you got to deal with stipulations. So, hey, it is what it is. Now, let's get into more of the bill itself. In the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act of 2020, all rental and mortgage payments would be eliminated retroactive from April 2020 from the remainder of the state of the emergency declaration. Now, a fund established by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, would repay any rent or mortgage payments made in April 2020 to the tenant or mortgagor. Landlords and lenders would be unable to pursue past due rent or mortgage issues, charges of late fees, or report any misused payments to credit bureaus. Okay, so two separate relief funds sponsored by HUD would be created for both landlords, and it'd be created for lenders, and will cover the entire lost rent or mortgage payments as long as they agree to certain terms for a period of 5 years. Any violations of this act would be, by a lender or a landlord, could result in penalties ranging from $5,000 up to $50,000 and possibly forfeiture of the property. So, a lot of things are at stake in regards to if this is passed and whatnot fully, but like I said, like anything else, it's like, hey, you go into a contract and you go from there. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, some people are for it, some people are against it, some people have their issues with it, some people think it's a good thing. And like I said, it just depends on how you look at the specific situation. Excuse me. All right, so the rental rate is actually, because I'm actually going to go over certain aspects of the bill at the same time. The rental rate cannot be increased over the following 5 years. Landlords can only evict for just cause and must provide documentation with any just cause eviction. The landlord cannot discriminate against a tenant's income source. Landlords must coordinate with local housing authorities to make new vacancies eligible to Section 8 voucher holders, a provision of 10% equity to tenants, no discrimination in regards to sexual identity, orientation, gender identity or expression, conviction or arrest records, credit history, immigration status of the tenant cannot be discriminated against whatsoever. Okay. Now, with all this being said, this could affect landlords and investors in a particular way. And one way, it forces landlords to waive their right to adjust their rental rate to offset inflation, increase property taxes or property insurance to compensate for any other variable costs that may rise. Because there is one thing that is definitely certain, because, a lot of times landlords, even like myself, to get a bad rap, because a lot of times people think that you're just raising the rent just to be greedy. And trust me, there are a lot of greedy people out here, especially within real estate. There are good landlords and there's bad landlords, just like there's good tenants and there's bad tenants. So we can most reasonable people can agree on that. Okay, let's just start off with that. Like I said, the reasonableness of it all. Okay, the one-on-one aspects of it all, as I like to put. I admit, like I said, there's a lot of greedy people. However, and this is a big however, most decent landlords have to raise their rent on their properties because of multiple reasons. A lot of times it's because they're being greedy, but the other reasons really are because if they don't do this, it affects their bottom line. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but at the end of the day, I did not become a landlord just to be a nice guy. And like most people didn't become landlords just to be nice people. They became landlords to ensure that they have a safe and healthy environment for their tenants. But the bottom line is they got to be able to make some sort of a profit off of the property, because if not, then there's no freaking point of having it as a rental property. You might as well just be living in the house. There's a reason why more and more people turn their houses, either they're renting rooms out or they're just utilizing Airbnb services. Well, obviously not so much nowadays with the pandemic, but obviously when this thing is over, people will go back to that. I've utilized Airbnb on multiple occasions, and most of the time the people who own those properties, either they had multiple properties or they just had that property as or they added on to that property so that they can make some extra money, which is a very smart thing, because in a lot of cases when it comes to a home in general, yes, it's nice to be a homeowner. I'm not downing it. Hey, I was proud 10 years ago today. This month makes it 10 years I bought my first home. I'm very happy about that. However, when it comes to the economics of it all, it's not that big of an accomplishment in that regards, because most of the time it's sucking money away from you. It's not really giving you money on a monthly basis. It's not really income. That's why they say for a lot of new people who want to buy a home, especially if you're in your early to mid 20s, even late 20s, they say buy a duplex, because at least for the duplex, you can turn yourself into a landlord, be a homeowner, and if you don't want to stay in that specific place, stay there for a year, move out, buy another house, and if need be, take equity out of that specific property, and then rent out both properties, and then you can buy another house for yourself. So it's like most first-time homeowners don't look at it like that. They just look at it, hey, I'm going to get a nice house, and I'm going to be a homeowner, and hooray, hoorah. However, you're still paying a mortgage, you're just not paying rent, and you got to pay the property taxes, and you got to pay the insurance, and you got to actually pay for something when something goes wrong with the property, and that house 9 times out of 10 is not paying you anything on a monthly basis. So that's what I'm saying. For us landlords, we're in this to make some money. Not to be greedy or slumlords or anything like that, but we're in it to make some money. But anyways, I digress. Back to the story at hand. And the reason why we have to raise rents on most properties, just for the one-on-one aspects of it. Like I said, there's greed involved, don't get me wrong. But the main thing at the end of the day is that most people become landlords so that they can make a profit every month. Heck, most become landlords to make extra money or replace their income. No bottom line equals no point at all. It's like you don't go to work for free, and if you do, the more power to you. A lot of people do volunteer work, but I'm talking about most people don't get up early to drive to work to go to free. Now, I'm not going, like I said, I'm not going into the anti-government route with this video whatsoever. This isn't anti-anything. It's just pointing out two aspects of it. Like I said last week, I talked about the upside of this bill in regards to it, because if your mortgage is canceled and the government, aka HUD, is paying your mortgage and you're still receiving a profit, then heck, all is well. But in the bill in itself basically falls into the line of those landlords who participate in Section 8 housing programs. And I've dealt with, I haven't dealt with that before, but I will say that I know a lot of people that have dealt with it in the past, and they've made a lot of money. They've banked tremendously off of that, because one thing is certain with all this going on with, Section 8 tenants, those landlords are getting paid every month because that money's coming from the government. You know what I mean? But back to what I was talking about earlier, the main reason why it's one downside is because one thing is true when it comes to when you're a landlord. Property taxes on a property will go up. Insurance will go up. It's that beautiful thing called inflation, okay? And then the maintenance on the property usually goes up every year, because materials can go up. And then obviously when it comes to services, whether it's via a contractor or via the services of a property management company, they will raise their services and the service fees every month. So that's why, realistically, you don't really see this happening. But if it did, I'm just talking about the hypotheticals of what could happen, because you go to the grocery store, heck, you go now, inflation's already been kicking your butt, but you go to the grocery store now, the price of food has definitely gone up. Whether you're buying unhealthy stuff and definitely if you get into healthy stuff. So inflation infects everything. Well, not infects, but revolves around everything, okay? So if I'm not, so it's a good thing if I don't have to worry about paying my mortgage, but hey, if I got to pay my property taxes going up, my insurance is going up, then, hey, and depending on where you buy at, you might have those, the HOA fees, which are a killer, condo service fees, which are a killer. I always give people credit for that one. For rent. I'm not renting out no place where a condo is. It's not going to happen. But that's just me personally. Everybody's different, But it's like I said, there's good sides and downsides to this. It's like I said, the people I know that's had to deal with HUD, they're promised their money, even with all this going on right now. They're promised their money every month, so they're still able to pay their mortgage, or if they're even smarter, they're able to pay off the house and then still make money off that place because of the Section 8 tenants. Like I said, there's always an upside to something in this business of real estate investment. And like any bill, the chances of all these provisions being passed is less likely to not pass. And that's okay. My thing is to always just be ready. That's why I made this video, to always be ready to adjust to a new situation. You know what I mean? Because that's just if this pandemic has improved, you got to be ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, as the old school folks would say. So if you're ready economically, you got your savings on point. If you're ready with all your assets, you got that on point. And if you're ready, especially if you're making more money, more people are figuring out more ways to make money via the internet nowadays more than ever. So if you got that going, then you got multiple sources of income, streams of income, which people always talk about nowadays. And then you can make other money moves with the right mindset and the right plan and the right implementation and the right team. That's all I'm really saying at the end of the day, but it is what it is. And like I said, if this thing hasn't taught us anything, you got to stay ready, because when you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. You know what I mean? So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely, like I said, as always, check out the Care Bars International family. If you want additional information, look up Michael L. Delco. He's got a lot of great information in regards to how you can make money, and if not just make money, but turn Care Bars International into a home-based business, which more and more people need, especially when it comes to additional tax write-offs nowadays. Buy gold, refer people, make money off of those referrals, repeat, period. And if you want more additional information, inbox me and we can definitely have a one-to-one conversation about it. And as always, remember, you can't get fired if you own the company, all right? So get your own company, whether you're going to stay at your job or not, get something so that you can have more tax write-offs and that you can learn something else outside of your job and engage in more people who have a different mindset, because that's what it's all about nowadays. So definitely like, share, subscribe, and hey, I'll see you guys later, all right? Take care and stay positive.